Today is June 2nd, 2026, and the latest news about countering human trafficking tells us something important. The fight is no longer just about finding one bad actor, making one arrest, or rescuing one victim. It is becoming a coordinated effort across law enforcement, banks, airports, hotels, sports venues, technology platforms, and ordinary people who know what warning signs look like. Human trafficking is often hidden in plain sight. It can look like forced labor. It can look like commercial sexual exploitation. It can look like a young person controlled by someone else. It can look like a worker who cannot leave, cannot keep their documents, or cannot speak freely. And increasingly, it can even look like someone sitting behind a computer, forced to run scams for a criminal network. That last piece is one of the biggest developments in 2026. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime chose "Trapped Behind the Scam" as the theme for World Day Against Trafficking in Persons 2026. UNODC warns that organized crime groups are trafficking people into industrial-scale fraud operations, where victims are coerced into romance scams, crypto fraud, and other cyber-enabled crimes. These victims may be advertised a normal job, transported to a compound, and then trapped through violence, surveillance, debt, and fear. That matters because it changes how we think about victims. The person sending a scam message may not be the mastermind. They may be another victim. Counter-trafficking in 2026 has to understand that exploitation, cybercrime, money laundering, and organized crime are now deeply connected. Another major current focus is the 2026 FIFA World Cup. FinCEN, the U.S. Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Bureau, issued a May 11th notice warning banks and financial institutions to watch for human trafficking risks around World Cup host cities. The notice says major events can create concentrated demand for legal and illegal services, and that traffickers may try to exploit the surge in visitors, lodging, transportation, and financial activity. FinCEN urged financial institutions to report suspicious activity quickly, even regardless of normal reporting thresholds. This is a big deal because banks may see the pattern before anyone else does. Unusual hotel payments, repeated cash deposits, travel transactions, peer-to-peer payments, prepaid cards, or money moving through accounts in ways that do not match the customer's normal life. In other words, counter-trafficking is not only happening on the street, it is also happening inside compliance departments, fraud teams, and financial intelligence units. New Jersey is also launching a public awareness campaign ahead of World Cup matches in East Rutherford. According to reporting on the announcement, the campaign includes outreach at airports, hotels, transportation networks, media platforms, and fan venues, along with educational videos, reporting tools, training for frontline workers, and resources for victims and survivors. Seattle has been preparing too. Its FIFA World Cup 2026 Human Trafficking Prevention Initiative, in partnership with businesses ending slavery and trafficking, distributed up to 2,500 training licenses for frontline employees and encouraged workplaces to develop prevention and response plans. The focus is practical. Train the people who may actually see the warning signs first: security workers, customer service teams, food service, retail, custodial teams, hotel workers, and transportation staff. But the most important message here is balance. Major sporting events do not magically create trafficking by themselves. Panic helps no one. What they do create is more movement, more anonymity, more temporary work, more hotel stays, more nightlife, and more opportunities for exploitation to hide inside a crowd. The better response is not fear. It is preparation. The enforcement side has also been active. In May, the Justice Department announced Operation Iron Pursuit, a one-month nationwide effort involving all 56 FBI field offices and U.S. attorneys' offices. DOJ said the operation located more than 200 child victims and arrested more than 350 child sexual abuse offenders. Earlier this year, during Super Bowl operations in the Bay Area, the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Human Trafficking Task Force reported 29 traffickers arrested and 73 sex trafficking victims recovered, including 10 minors. That operation involved dozens of agencies and real-time analysts working tips alongside investigators in the field. Internationally, Interpol announced results from Operation Libertera 3. The operation safeguarded 4,414 potential victims of human trafficking across 119 countries, led to 3,744 arrests, and opened more than 720 new investigations. Interpol also emphasized that trafficking networks are evolving, using new routes, digital platforms, and vulnerable migration patterns. The data shows why this work requires long-term capacity, not one-off headlines. The Bureau of Justice Statistics reported in January 2026 that 2,329 people were referred to U.S. attorneys for human trafficking offenses in fiscal year 2023, a 23% increase from 2013. It also reported that human trafficking prosecutions in U.S. District Court increased 73% from 2013 to 2023. So what should the public take from all this? First, trafficking is not always obvious. It is not always a locked room or a dramatic kidnapping. It may be someone who seems controlled by another person, cannot speak for themselves, lacks access to their own documents, appears fearful, is being moved from place to place, or is working under threats, debt, or impossible conditions. Second, the right response is not to confront a suspected trafficker yourself. That can put the victim in more danger. The safer move is to observe, document what you can without interfering, and report through the proper channels. Third, survivors need more than rescue. They need housing, legal help, medical care, trauma support, immigration assistance, job support, and time. A victim-centered response means not treating exploited people as evidence first, but as human beings first. Fourth, technology is now part of both the problem and the solution. Traffickers use online ads, encrypted messaging, payments apps, fake job listings, and digital surveillance. But investigators, banks, nonprofits, and trained communities can also use data, reporting tools, and awareness campaigns to identify patterns earlier. And finally, everyone has a role. Not everyone is an investigator, but a hotel worker can notice something. A banker can flag something. A rideshare driver can report something. A nurse can ask the right question. A teacher can recognize a change in behavior. A friend can believe someone who says, "I don't feel safe." If someone is in immediate danger, call 911. For help or to report a potential trafficking situation in the United States, the National Human Trafficking Hotline is available at 1-888-373-7888, by text at 233-733, or through online chat. The latest news as of June 2026 is not that trafficking is solved. It is not. The news is that the response is becoming more coordinated, more data-driven, more international, and more aware of new forms of exploitation. The challenge now is to make sure that all this activity leads to the right outcome: fewer people exploited, more victims safely identified, more traffickers held accountable, and more communities trained to see what has too often been invisible. Because countering human trafficking is not just about stopping a crime. It is about noticing the person behind the crime and making sure they are not left alone.